Hey everyone, today in this video, I'm going to be checking out the EUFY. This is their E20. It's a 3-in-1 combo vacuum. EUFY did send me the sample, but any opinion expressed in this video is strictly my own. That being said, if you're interested in this product, the link to it will be in the video description. Take a look at the retail box and packaging right here. They have a nice breakout on this side of the box here, showing you the 3-in-1 device. Robot vacuum, handheld, and stick vacuum. It switches between the modes very easily to adapt to your cleaning needs and environments. Carpets, right, stairs, crevices, whatever you need, you can configure the vacuum accordingly, and it's going to save space and eliminate the need for multiple cleaning devices. This will do everything for you right here, and we can't forget about that auto empty station. Now let's go ahead, let's open it up and see what's inside. First out of the box, you'll find a double-sided quick start guide walking you through everything you need to know about the E20. Take a look at the other side. Then we also have the dock assist mat right here that you'll place under the self-emptying station. Next, we have multiple accessories here for the stick vac as well as the robot vacuum. We have our main vacuum body and extension tube here, so we can press this button and then it pulls all the way out, and then it just clicks and locks in place so we can adjust the height. 2-in-1 combination tool here. Side brush for the robot vac. Main vacuum head for the stick vacuum. Take a look at this in the main roller here with soft and hard bristles spiraled all throughout. Additional product info there, 2 wheels. You can see how this pivots left and right, up and down. We also have our power cord and cable. Let's take a closer look at the self-empty base. So this station automatically collects dust for all modes, whether that's robot, handheld, or stick. And it has a 3-liter sealed bag for up to 75 days of maintenance-free cleaning. 1,000-watt self-empty station, EUFY logo and branding, charging contacts down here. We have the self-empty chute there, some additional sensors. We'll look at the very top to see that 3-liter bag, and the lid just removes right off. And then we can go ahead, and we have our vacuum bag right there. Easy to replace as needed, and just slot it right in. And then we can take that lid and we can put it right back on. Here's a look at it from the left side. Here's a look at it from the right side. Here's a look at it from the very bottom. You'll notice we have a couple Phillips head screws here with a clear channel. So we can see, you can see my finger in there. If we have any debris stuck and clogging it, we have a really easy access and viewpoint and window in there to remove and clean and declog as needed. Some additional specs down at the bottom. And now let's look at the very back. Here's the top, here's the bottom. Power plug right there, built-in cable management, and we have a left and right channel for that cable to fish through. So we can have this flush up against a wall, a piece of furniture, things like that. Very thoughtful design. And we have a grip up at the top too to easily remove that lid. Last but definitely not least, we have the robot vac itself. It comes with a safety guide in multiple languages, so be sure to reference that. Scan the QR code to take advantage of the manual app and support online right from your device. Looking at the vacuum, up at the top, we have a lot going on here. Front and center, EUFY's logo and branding. We have a press here button, and that pops out the crevice tool. So cool. I love that built-in storage. That is really neat. 3 control buttons here, and then we have our main unit that makes everything possible. You can press the red button to release it. Now you have your handheld and stick vacuum, as well as your robot vacuum, motor, and dustbin. 30,000 pascals of suction power, capable of really deep cleaning. Show you it from all different sides and angles. We have our power and mode button right there. Nice grip handle. And we have some instructions on here to twist. This is how we get access to the dustbin to empty and clean if we ever need to. Filter lock and unlock there as well. But again, this will empty itself, but you have that option. And then take a look inside with it removed. And then we just very easily set it right back onto the unit. Let's look at the front of the RoboVac. We have some sensors and modules here. Navigational bumper. Here's a look at the side. Here's a look at the other side, some additional sensors, and then we can flip it over to the underside. 2 spring-loaded drive wheels, omnidirectional wheel, charging contacts, side cleaning brush, that's where we have to install it, multiple cliff sensors. We can see the dustbin here, which is cool, additional product info, and then we can pop this out to remove and reveal the included main brush roller. Very easy to clean, detangle, and replace as needed. And that does auto level itself depending on your floor. Really sweet design. So cool, just so different. We haven't seen anything like this before. It's really creative, so I'm excited to see how it actually performs. Let's go ahead, let's get this set up. There's not much to setting up the RoboVac. First thing we have to do is install the side cleaning brush, red to red, and that just snaps right in place. Everything else is just basically peeling off some plastic from the main unit right here. So we just press that to release, pops right out, plastic there, plastic there, plastic here. That one's a little more stuck on. And then we got some more plastic on the other side as well. It's very satisfying to peel, and it really wants to stick to me. And there's nothing else to it once the plastic's removed. We can really quickly pop out the filter here. This does feature 5-stage filtration to trap 99.97% of particles. Well, at least that's what they say. But it's going to trap things like allergens, pet hair, dander, dust mites, all of that good stuff. And with this design, it looks like it's designed in a way to reduce filter clogging as well. So we'll see once we vacuum my house with my pet hair as well as the long human hair in my house, how this does trapping everything. I expect to see a lot of really fine dirt and dust particles trapped in the dustbin as well as in the filter itself. But very easy maintenance to get access in here to clean and swap and change the filter as needed. Moving along to setting up the handheld vacuum, pick and choose which of the 2 accessories you want to use, and then just line it up and everything just snaps right in place. So we can use the crevice tool or the 2-in-1 tool right here with the handheld version. Or if we want to use the stick vacuum, line this up. It's only going to fit one way, and then it snaps right in place. Then we take the main brush head here, and that will snap in place too. And now we can use the stick vacuum, and don't forget, we can adjust that height. So there's going to be our max height with the stick vacuum setup. For those that are wondering, it's really interesting that with this extension tube, it will not work with the 2 accessories here for the handheld vacuum portion. So square to circle, that isn't going to work. So really interesting that we don't have the extension tube capability with these accessories. You'll be limited to your arm's reach with those attached. But for the main stick vacuum, you can go this far out, or you can adjust it anywhere in between. And it looks like at that lowest setting, well, it's actually too heavy. I thought maybe it could stand upright. We can try to put a little bit higher here and see. It's not going to support itself upright either. You'll want to just lay this down when you're done using it or in between, you know, your cleanings, things like that. Doesn't appear that it's going to want to stand upright without falling over. clean out of the way, let's take a look at real world results. I have a house with 3 long-haired individuals and a dog with long hair. Plenty of kids, crumbs, all that good stuff, which you'll see here in just a second. But it's a pretty good indicator for what you could expect in hairy households and environments. So we're going to start with the main vacuum brush roller first. And look at that. We have lots of human hair on here from my wife and daughters. Got a couple of pieces like carpet threads there from our shag rug. But I'd say very typical for a vacuum brush like this. You're not getting any like additional hair detangling. There's no comb or anything on this to help with the hair. So what you would expect with a typical cordless vacuum head, I'd say more on that budget-friendly side. Very common for hairy households to see something similar as to what we have here. And then your typical dirt and dust just starting to build up and collect on the inside of the cover, but not bad. Again, I'd say as expected. Now moving on to the robot vac itself. So far so good up here. Everything looks great. Here's a look at the side, the sensors. Nothing out of the ordinary after our first use. But when I flip it over, take a look at this main brush roller here. Now, in its defense, it does have a hair detangling comb, but I haven't let this do the self-empty yet, so we could see the contents in the dustbin. So we'll check this out in a little bit more detail in a minute after we run it. But again, with just one pass in my hairy household, look at that right there. So we'll see how much, if any, of these combs will make a difference on what's already tangled in there. But I'm under the impression that it may help over time running that comb when it's self-emptying. But I'd say we picked up a ton of hair with this brush style. That's very common. But if you don't have any detangling, cutting, or anything like that, it really starts to wrap it up very, very quickly, like you see right here. I mean, look at that. It's really choking it out right there on the side. Look at that substantial difference. You can't even see the black anymore, right? So again, that's what you would expect without any detangling. We'll test it and see if this comb makes any sort of difference. And last but not least, the dustbin itself right here. Really full already. We're going to go ahead and I don't want to make a huge mess here, but we're going to try to open this up. It might just be better to grab our lovely dish here so we can just kind of dump everything out. Not bad at all in there on the filter, just your typical dust collecting. Can pop this open again. Looks really clean still on the inside, but we are seeing some of that filtered in, which is great. Let's pull that out. A little bit of dust on the foam, but not bad. Filter looks, I'd say, as good as new, just about. But tons of pet hair threads, crumbs, really fine dirt and dust in there. And then we have some larger debris here. Looks like I sucked up some of my daughter's toys, so it'll be good to actually get this back. If you guys know what a light bright is, that's what we sucked up right there. But some larger crumbs in the bottom of the dustbin. Now it's time to see how the hair detangling comb works. I have yet to have this self-empty, which should help spin up this brush to detangle the hair that we see here. So let me pop the cover off really quick so you can see the close-up here. I've not done anything. This has been one vacuum pass around my house. And we'll fire it up now at the station. We'll let it self-empty and we'll see if it made any sort of difference. I'm gonna say it did remove a little bit visually. It feels like it's not as thick here. Obviously, we still have this problem where it's really tangled in. And I'm not sure at that point when it's that wrapped around if that comb is even capable of, you know, fixing that without manual intervention. But let's try it again. We'll run it a couple more times and see if there's any more improvement. So we ran it 3 times. Take a look here. Doesn't look like it's changed much, if at all. So if you have really hairy households, I wouldn't expect this to be the end-all be-all, clearly from what we're seeing here. It might make a difference long-term, especially if you don't have that much hair, right? And it's helping to detangle a couple of them that do. But if you have really hairy floors and households like I do, you still will have to have manual intervention. I guess anything is better than nothing, but it really hasn't seemed to move the needle much here, at least in our case. And I do want to mention with the other EUFY vacuums that we've tried this with, we've seen very similar results. it just doesn't seem to be, like I said, the end-all be-all. Now let's take a quick look at the EUFY Clean app here. We have our map. We have 3 tabs at the bottom where we can do whole house cleaning, room cleaning, or zone cleaning, and we can add up to 10 zones to clean at one time. And we can customize our clean 1 or 2 times if we want it to basically double up on cleaning, and we can adjust the suction level from quiet all the way up to max. We also have multi-map support here. We can create multiple maps. We can empty the dustbin right from the mobile app, and we can edit our map here, merging, dividing, and renaming rooms, as well as adding no-go zones and your virtual boundaries. So both of those can be added, drag and drop on the map. And for those wondering, you can also add carpet to your map if needed. And then we have our device settings in the top right-hand corner where we can manage our maps. This is where we can toggle on or off multi-mapping, and we can create new maps down at the bottom, the big green button. We can set a schedule. We can view our cleaning history. We have carpet cleaning settings. Make sure to toggle on or off your boost IQ depending on your preferences. We have manual controls right here, so we can drive it around with our phone. There are auto empty settings. This is great. So you can configure this for both the RoboVac and the cordless vacuum cleaner if you want it to auto empty when that's placed back into the robot. So really clutch. Voice settings, we have some robot settings here. This is things like do not disturb mode, auto return cleaning, low sensitivity test, model, child lock, activity log. You get the idea there. Everything else is going to be more of like firmware, deleting or removing the device, sharing the device, locating your device if it's missing around the house, and your help and support. So it's a very clean and simple and easy mobile app to navigate with not the most customization, but they give you pretty basic features and controls. Just for fun, I want to show you how capable this vacuum cleaner is. So they advertise like being able to lift up, I think like a MacBook Air or something like that, which is pretty sweet. I don't have one to try, so I thought we'd grab a little tablet here and a PlayStation 5 controller to see if it's capable of lifting any of these objects. So let's go ahead, we'll find out here. Okay, that's pretty sweet. See if we can grab this. That's pretty sweet. So it was able to grab both. It's a lot easier for it to suction onto this because it's flat. This is a little bit rounded on the back, but that's pretty neat, guys. Very capable vacuum, at least from a suction demonstration standpoint. With all that out of the way, how does this stack up against the competition? We'll be comparing it both to our robot vacuum database and our cordless vacuum database because, again, this is a multi-use device. So first, when we look at the cost of the E20 compared to the competition, we're actually below average just from the standalone robot vacuum feature, which is a great sign. That's going to speak to its value. But again, you're getting a robot vacuum and a cordless vac at this price point, and it's below the average robot vac cost already. And when we look at our typical cordless vacuum cleaner cost, we're actually going to be a little bit above average, but we're also getting a robot vacuum cleaner. So value to value, dollar to dollar, at least initially, especially if you're buying both a robot vac and a cordless vacuum separately, you're going to save hundreds of dollars with this vacuum. But does that mean it's any good? So we'll be looking at some key metrics and tech specs. First is going to be max suction power for the robot vacuum. They advertise 8,000 pascals of suction. That's actually really, really good. That's above average. You'll notice that the average is about 2,300 pascals less. And when talking about the cordless vacuum and its suction power, 24 kPAs compared to the average of 21. And for those wondering, we do measure this in-house. Speaking of in-house measurements, the max CFM for the RoboVac is 8.2 compared to the average of 6.9. So from a robot vacuum side of things, below average cost, above average performance. But looking at the cordless vacuum side, max CFM is 29. That's substantially lower than the typical average of 40. So it's going to be above average price for a cordless vac and below average performance. But ironically, in our carpet deep cleaning test, the robot vac actually underperformed the competition by 7 points. And who would have thought the cordless vacuum actually overachieved and outperformed the competition by 2.5 points? How does that make any sense? In all seriousness, I think it comes down to a couple of things. Obviously, suction power is important, but when it's actually in use, the brush rolling systems on both the RoboVac and on the cordless vac can be a make or break for carpet cleaning, specifically our deep cleaning tests. So it would appear that it just has an underwhelming main brush roller for the RoboVac and a very effective main brush roller for the cordless stick vac. Now, in regards to max decibels, this is how loud the E20 is in robot vac mode on max suction, 78 decibels compared to the average of 72. So 6 decibels louder, but it's really not that much noticeable versus your typical 72 decibel robot vac. You're gonna hear both vacuums regardless. And same story holds true for the stick vac. It's 2 decibels louder than your typical cordless vac. Next, let's talk about battery life. This is measured in minutes, 180-minute advertised battery life compared to the average of 167, so technically 13 extra minutes with this vacuum. It is smart enough to go back home, recharge, and then resume its clean. And for those wondering about the stick vac, they don't publish this information anywhere. We went ahead and tested it ourselves. It lasted 50 minutes until the battery died at the lowest suction setting compared to your average of 54. Not bad in my opinion for how small and compact this is. And the reason we get those decent run times is due to the 4200 milliamp hour battery pack that we have in this unit. Next up, let's talk about dustbin capacity. 350 milliliter dustbin for the robot vac. Spoiler alert, it's the same dustbin for the cordless vacuum. So it's a little bit below average for a robot vac, but when they're self-emptying, they usually are below average. So it's actually a fairly large one due to the fact that this is also a cordless vacuum cleaner. But from a cordless vacuum cleaner standpoint, it is going to be on the smaller side, and that's due to the fact that it has to fit into a robot vacuum cleaner. So what that means to you is really nothing because it can self-empty whether it's in stick vac mode or cordless vac mode, so you don't have to worry about it. And as just mentioned, it does have self-emptying capabilities. We see that in 67% of the robot vacs that we test, and we see it in only 21% of the cordless vacuums that we test. So when you see that that cost is higher when we average it out compared to cordless vacs, that's because most of them out there don't have a self-empty, and that's always gonna bump up the price. Now, a bummer for me is with this being a multifunctional robot, there's no mopping capabilities with the robot vac. Even just a simple gravity-fed mopping module would be a welcome addition to this in the future. We're seeing that on 67% of the vacuums that we test. And although I wasn't expecting this feature, it would have been an added bonus or really cool if they did put it on this, but that's going to be your side brush reach, where the side brush can extend out to reach into corners. We're only seeing that in 2% of the vacuums that we test. That's the top-end, high-end flagship models. So again, no expectations for this, but it would have been nice, and it is a feature that I really like seeing on robot vacs. Same can be said with the dual roller brush design. In this case, that would definitely help to eliminate some of that hair buildup and tangles here, but it does not have dual roller brushes. It does have the detangling comb, but we showcased that earlier, and it doesn't really make a difference in our experience having it with or without. There's still going to be hair tangled on your main roller brush if you have a hairy household like I do. And for old advanced tech on this vacuum, there is no camera, so you do not have any sort of live video monitoring to drive it or patrol it around your house. In regards to LED lights, there's no LED lights on this vacuum, whether it's the RoboVac or the stick vac itself, and that's rather disappointing. They definitely are missing an opportunity here to have a much better cleaning experience with increased visibility right at the front of the brush roller on the stick vac. But the good news is, for those that are concerned about weight with this vacuum, it's definitely below average by a couple of pounds, so it's very lightweight and easy to move and use around the house. I also like its small and compact size if you want to use this to clean in your car or just anywhere that's usually harder to have a larger cordless vac in a tight, confined space. This one is definitely on the smaller side, but it's not so small that you're buying those junky car vacuums. This is a really nice stick vac. But we're back to some more compromises. This vacuum cannot stand upright on its own, which is a pretty big bummer and disappointment in my opinion. And there's no 180-degree lie flat reach. What I mean by that is the ability to have like a pivoting arm or elbow or accessory to be able to really easily get it under furniture. Once you use a vacuum with that feature, it's hard to go back to one without. And last but not least, we got some honorable mentions here. First up is what they call flash charging, 2 hours to get it to 90%, 2.5 hours for fully charging. Aero Turbo is what they're calling their 5-stage filtration system, and EUFY claims that they can get 99.97% of particles. Not sure if that's true or not, but that is what they claim. And then we have obstacle avoidance. They say objects as small as 15 millimeters. In my experience with the common household objects that we test with, it actually overachieved and did a way better job than I thought it would. So where's that leave us with the EUFY E20? Well, let me share with you my final thoughts. First, I think a good observation for this is it's basically very similar to the EUFY C20 that I've tested, but for basically, let's say $100 more, you get a cordless vacuum cleaner. So for some of you out there, if you're looking for that model and you want to get a cordless vac, that's probably where this is going to really excel. It's not the best robot vacuum. It's not the best stick vacuum. It's full of too many compromises on both sides because this device is trying to be so many different things. To celebrate some of the good, it has a really unique design. It's small and compact station-wise, so if you're looking for a robot vac with that smaller base, that's going to be a solid contender. And the stick vac itself is very small, compact, and lightweight. I really like this just as a stick vac. I hope in the future maybe they could sell one. Maybe it could be pretty budget-friendly, and I think it would give a good, strong run for the money to be a fantastic car vacuum if it's priced similar to the competition in that regard. So it does a lot of good there with its size and its functionality and just a really unique and cool design. But like we said, it's trying to be a lot of different things, so it's not the best at any of them. So some of the shortcomings are as follows. No LED light on the stick vac. That's a pretty big bummer if you ask me. There's no auto mode. There's no easy battery percentage. There is an indicator light, but again, that's not telling you the percent on a display. That's just easier to see than to try to gauge how much light is left on the light bar. It also can't stand upright as a stick vac. That's not a deal breaker, but compounded with everything else, it's just one more compromise. And I think my biggest gripe with this E20 overall is the fact that they went through the details to design, like literally the crevice tool is built into the robot vac, but there's no storage compartments here for the rest of the stick vacuum. I just can't believe they don't give us a clip or anything else on the station. That's definitely a huge oversight and missed opportunity to wow and impress everybody, because where are you supposed to store those? Just on the wall or the floor next to it? It's really frustrating that they went through all that attention to detail there, but left off everything else. And I also found it frustrating that you can't use all the accessories with the extension tube. What's the point of that? It'd be nice to be able to add the accessories directly to the vacuum, which you can do, or to the vacuum extension tube with the stick vac, but you can't. Only the main brush roller has the circular design to attach to the extension tube. So just like they overlooked the built-in storage for everything here next to the unit, they also didn't make it very compatible either.